Hello everyone, this is Brian with ZimCo Survival and I'm back again today. Today I'm doing a review on the Numyth Tohil Lighter. Now this is a peanut lighter, and a lot of you guys who are preppers will know what a peanut lighter is. Essentially it's supposed to be a sealed Zippo style liquid fueled lighter, which preppers love liquid fueled lighters, or at least the concept of them, because they can function off of many different types of fuel. Kind of like an alcohol stove, if it's flammable, a liquid fuel lighter can use it. The only problem is the fuel evaporates. So in order to use it, you have to carry fuel with you, which is heavy and takes up space. Optimally, you want a liquid fuel lighter that does not let the fuel evaporate. And enter the peanut lighter. Now peanut lighters, most of them have seals and things like that in order to prevent the fuel from escaping the lighter. The only problem is peanut lighters are very cheap, and up until now there have been no companies making a good quality peanut lighter. So ultimately they hold the fuel, but their durability is lacking. So when you actually go out and you use it extensively, that lighter breaks. And as far as prepping goes, that makes it a terrible option because you cannot rely on it. If you use a peanut lighter more than just a few times, they tend to fall apart, or at least in my experience, the ones that I have purchased. So I was wandering around Amazon doing my normal thing, trying to find weird and interesting survival type gizmos to do reviews on for you guys. And I stumbled on this thing, which is supposed to be, well, it is a peanut lighter that was redesigned. Basically, the person who runs GoingGear.com also owns a company called Numyth, and he came up with basically a completely redesigned peanut lighter to fit the needs of preppers and outdoor enthusiasts. That's what he redesigned it for. So enter the Tohil Lighter. Now, I bought this, and it's not particularly cheap. It's about $25. And I figured, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I'll take a look at it and see what I think. And when I first bought it, I was actually really impressed with it. I'm still really impressed with it, just so you guys know. But one of the big problems with all peanut lighters is, I don't know how to describe it. They work really well, but at the same time, they're lacking a lot of features that they should have, or that in my opinion a good outdoor lighter would have. And I wanted to see if Numyth addressed all of them in a way that would satisfy me. At $25, it's not a cheap peanut lighter. It's about 5 times the price of a normal peanut lighter. So in my opinion, they had to address a lot of issues in order to make it worth that much of a markup, not just stick a fancy case on the end of it. And actually, they hit all the points that I was concerned about. My peanut lighters, this piece right here, the key ring or lanyard hole or whatever you want to call it, is always just a little spinning toggle. And ultimately, that little toggle breaks fairly quickly. This one is all machined aluminum. The entire body is machined aluminum, and it comes in 2 pieces. One is the lid, the cap, which unscrews. Okay, this is one solid piece, including the lanyard loop. It is not glued on. It is not a separate piece that's been added. It is actually, let's see if I can get it to focus for you guys. It is actually one solid piece of aluminum. So this isn't going to break on you unless you try to break it. I mean, it's a pretty decent thick lanyard hole there. It is definitely not going to break on you unless you try to break it. Let's see if I can give you guys a picture here of the inside. And the entire body is also pretty decent thick aluminum, so it's not cheap by any means. This right here is the actual lighter itself. Again, let's see if I can get it focused for you. Alright, you can see it has an O-ring right there. So let me go ahead and get into the features other than just the lanyard loop. Like I said already, it is completely machined aluminum. It does have candle mode. It is flat. So you can set it down and have it still lit, which is unique to peanut lighters. That was one thing that I kind of wished peanut lighters could do, which was just have a flat bottom so you could set it down. So if you had to do something like, for example, melt some pine pitch glue or something like that, you had a flame source that you could do that with. Now, with that in mind, I personally would not recommend doing that for long periods of time, because unlike a Zippo, this does have a rubber gasket, and the whole way this thing functions on saving fuel is through that rubber gasket. So if you melt it, you kind of have a fancy Zippo. So if you're going to use candle mode, make sure you have a very good reason to use it, and make sure it's worth potentially losing that gasket in order to get whatever you need done. Now, the other feature this has is on the outside here. I'm going to try to show it to you guys. If I can get it, there we go. See that little flat spot right there? It has 4 of those little flat spots. And at first I got it and I thought it was a little bit sharp, because it does sit below the rest of the grooves. So it has this 90-degree edge right there. And I kind of felt it was a little bit sharp. I wasn't particularly happy about it until I realized why it was done. And that is, it makes it very, very easy to get a grip on it. Very easy. You can use big, thick, heavy winter gloves and still get this cap off very easily without having to fumble with it and having it spin inside the gloves and trying to wrench your hand down. You can just grab it with your gloves, twist this piece here with your other hand, and it just comes right off. It's very, very easy, which I really like. The next feature I'm not going to be able to show you because, as you guys know, my camera doesn't like to focus up close. It has squared off threads, which is really cool because, let me see how I can describe it. Normal threading, as you guys will be aware of, is kind of shaped like this, like a triangle. And that shape will cut into itself over time. The more you use it and the more you try to tighten it down, it's going to cut into itself. And over time, what that's going to do is it's going to create a notch at the end of that threading. So now it won't tighten anymore. You can close it, but you can just immediately unscrew it. It doesn't tighten down and stay down. That's just a normal aspect of those kinds of threads. There's nothing you're going to do to fix it. So over time, they tend to wear out. What Numyth did was they changed the way their threading functions so it's squared off. I'm going to see if I can get you guys a close-up view. I don't know how well you can see that. It's squared off. And the end of the threading, instead of just terminating and stopping like normal threading does, it actually graduates up to the end of, well, essentially it acts like a ramp and goes up until the threading stops, which prevents it from ever being able to cut into itself. So in other words, this lighter will stay just as tightly closed now as it will 10 years from now. I've used this quite a bit and I have seen no wear and tear whatsoever on the threading, which is kind of not normal for threaded items. So the way this squared off threading is designed is very, very good. I know that threading may seem like a very small feature, but it does make a difference in the longevity of an item and how well it's going to wear down over time. So that is a small feature that is going to make a big difference in just how long this lighter will last and be effective at its job. Next up is a feature they added to the actual insert, which is the lighter portion. Alright, let's see if I can get it. Again, this is so small my camera doesn't want to focus on it. They redesigned this portion here. Now it looks like a normal insert for a peanut lighter, but one of the things that a lot of people know and I don't like is that peanut lighters, the inserts tend to twist inside of the housing, which I don't like because when that happens, it can make it kind of hard to actually get a good strike on it because it'll tend to twist around. So if you don't put exactly the force on it, just like that, it'll twist. Or if you try to do it like this, or it won't twist. If you try to do it like this, it could twist on you, and then you'll have to try to restrike it again. This one actually added, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it. You see that little knob right there, kind of right there? What that does is it adds friction inside of the case. So now it won't move. It'll stay right there. Which means you don't have to worry about this thing twisting around on you or falling out when you're trying to actually light your fire. You can take the lighter, hold it like this, upside down or at an angle, stick it up into your tinder, and you don't have to worry about this falling out and then having to put it out, put it back in the case, etc., etc. So, Numyth made quite a few small adjustments to this lighter that made a huge difference in how it functions. Now to tell you guys about my testing with it. I had this at home for a few months, just left it sitting on the counter, alright, to see how the fuel evaporated. I filled it up and left it sitting out on the counter for a few months. Used it from time to time to see if it still had fuel. And then, when I realized it was still essentially full, it didn't lose much fuel at all. In fact, the only fuel it lost was the stuff I was using. I went ahead and stuck it in my truck to see how it would handle 100-degree weather, basically, to heat up the heat in the truck to help bake this thing a little bit in more realistic conditions here in South Carolina. Because by the time I got it, it was a little bit after summer. Well, it was still summer, but it wasn't a particularly hot summer. Normally around here, we get 100-degree weather fairly regularly. So I wanted to test this in some of our hotter weather. So I left it in the truck, which gets to about 100 to 120 degrees depending on the day, and to see how well this thing would last. And I just stuck it in the center console and pulled it out. I figured that there would be at least some fuel loss, because in that temperature, fuel tends to evaporate extremely quickly. And you know, there's a difference. Even the people who carry Zippos can tell you there is a difference between keeping a Zippo in a pouch on your hip and keeping a Zippo in your pocket. Just the heat from your body is enough to make that fuel evaporate twice as quickly. So this thing being left in a 100-degree car, I figured would make a huge difference, and it made no difference whatsoever. When I pulled it out, the fuel was still in the canister. It hadn't lost no fuel whatsoever. I have only filled this up once when I first got it, and I want to show you guys how much fuel it still has left. I hope you guys can see it, but there's the back right there. I hope you guys can see. Do you see that wet spot right down there at the bottom? It's still essentially full. The bottom fibers haven't even completely dried out yet, and that's saying something. I've had this lighter now, like I said, for quite some time, and probably 3 or 4 months, and I have not even managed to lose enough fuel to make the bottom fibers dry. And that is saying something. One of the other benefits is it's waterproof. Thanks to the O-ring in here, it is waterproof. Now, it does come with the O-ring installed, and they also provide you with extra O-rings as well. So you don't have to worry about it. Now, the guy from Numyth, I forgot his name, I watched one of his videos on this lighter, kind of to get words from the creator, if you will. And the O-ring inside of here, he claims is just a regular O-ring. There's nothing special about it. You don't have to get replacements through Numyth like you do with a lot of the manufacturers, where they use specialized O-rings that are meant to do this and that and the other thing. So the only way to get one that actually works like the original is to actually get them from the manufacturer, which is a pain. He said this one here, there's nothing special. You can take it, you can go down to Walmart or Lowe's or Home Depot and buy yourself a new O-ring that fits this straight from any hardware store, which is fantastic, because it means I don't have to sit there, contact the company, have them ship me new O-rings, which typically takes a month to 6 weeks to have replacements. He sends replacements to you in the first place, and then at the end of the day, you can also get replacements from pretty much any hardware store, which is a huge thing. It means that the guy who created this did it so made it for the consumer to make sure that we had a product that worked, that wasn't going to be difficult to maintain, which I really like when people think about the customers that way. Not just about selling the product, but also about what the customer has to do to maintain the product and how hard it would be for them to do the maintenance. So overall, I really like this lighter. Now, as far as ease of lighting goes, it uses a regular wick, a regular ZimCo wick, and ZimCo flint cartridges, flints. So it's really easy to maintain. You don't have to go anywhere special. You can buy the flints and stuff from Amazon. You can buy pretty much the flints from any store. You can buy them at Walmart. You can buy the wicks, most gas stations. So you don't have to do anything special to get the replacement parts for this. There is not enough room in the body to keep a spare wick. Although, to be honest with you, I've never replaced the wick in a ZimCo. I have never had a ZimCo live long enough to actually require replacing the wick. To me, that's just a gimmick that a lot of people do to try and sell more product. Is, oh, you need new wicks. You don't really need new wicks. If this thing gets to a point where it won't light, the wick gets to a point where it won't light, I just pull up about 1/8 of an inch, snip the black part off, and it works just fine. And I'm talking years. It takes years to get a wick to that point. And each wick is about 4 inches. The wick in here, I believe, is 2 inches because that, you know, it's a smaller lighter, so you have to cut the wicks in half. But even at 2 inches, you know, you're talking 20 to 30 years before I need to replace this wick. So I'm not too concerned about it. I'm pretty sure that something is going to fail long before then. And that's if I use it every single day. And this is a survival type lighter for me. This is a prepping lighter. I'm not going to be using this every day. Like the other ZimCos I use, where I'll, smoke a pack and a half in a day because I am a smoker. And I use that thing each time I light a cigarette. And it still takes years before I even have to pull up on the wick to expose more fresh wick. So I'm not concerned about that. You can carry quite a few extra flints. I've been able to fit about 6 in there. Now I don't have them right now because I didn't want them to fall out while I was doing the review. But I've been able to fit a full cartridge of 6 extra wicks or extra flints down inside of the body, and it still closes up just fine. So that's quite a few extra flints that you can carry around with you if you decide to use it like that. But overall, my rating on this is going to be a 6 out of 5. I mean, this is the perfect bug out bag fuel lighter, liquid fuel lighter. It is fantastic. I have found no problems with it. It holds fuel better than any lighter I've ever had before, and it is built to last. And every single aspect of this lighter is built with a prepper in mind. I mean, you really can't get a more perfect liquid lighter than this one for prepping purposes. Now, it is expensive. Like I said, I think I said it's about $25. Whoop, and I threw it. It's about $25 on Amazon. You can also purchase it straight from goinggear.com, which is actually the designer of this, I believe they're goinggear.com. They also own Numyth, and the gentleman who created goinggear.com and runs it is actually the guy who designed this. So you can get it from them. You can also get it on Amazon. I will have a link in the description for you guys on Amazon to buy this, because it didn't show up directly, and if you didn't know it existed, you wouldn't be able to find it. So I will go ahead and leave an affiliate link down in the description. Go ahead and click on it if you want to get this. Now, this is the Ember Orange. They also come in black. I recommend the orange if you're getting any kind of survival item. A lot of people want to be tactical, but in my opinion, tactical doesn't do you any bit of good at all if you drop it in the leaves and can't find it. So in my opinion, get something bright that you can see if you drop it, because all the gear in the world can't help you if you lose it. But there you go, the Numyth Tohil Lighter. In my opinion, get one if you're building a bug out bag. I don't care if you have to save up for it. It is worth the price, and you will find that out yourselves once you have one in your hand. go ahead and pick one up. Like I said, click the link in the description. Make it a lot easier to find it. And as always, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Have a good one. Bye-bye.